Detroit can win the championship. The Detroit Pistons, as presently constructed, could win the chip. No. They got athleticism, they got defense, they got perimeter shooting, and they have a closer. Yeah. Cade Cunningham is that dude. And J.B. Pickens can coach, okay? I'm telling you, something special is brewing in the Motor City. And this is the reason why I'm so worried about them. I see teams elevating and getting good all the time. These brothers want the Knicks. They would actually be disappointed if they went to the finals and they didn't have to go through New York to do it. They want these brothers. I mean, JB, he comes here in off season.
Yes, he does.
On this show, he like, we ain't losing to them. He's losing again. I mean, you just see the fire in them. I mean, they ain't playing. And they're not playing. And so they sent the message to the Knicks last night. We coming for y'all. Mm-hmm. We coming for y'all. So guess what? I'm very worried.
Stephen A. Smith is a huge Knicks fan. And this week, the Pistons just complete belt the ass on the Knicks, which warmed my heart. I don't know about you. Warmed my heart.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
all the national media has had like the Knicks just like carrying their torch saying they're the best team in the East. He went and said the Pistons as presently constructed could win the championship. Now, do you agree with that? Without making any moves, the way that they're built, the way this team is constructed, do you think that they are a championship team and could make it out of the East?
So win a championship was bold. I thought he was going to say they could just make it to the finals. He said they could win the chip as they're constructed. And I don't know, man. I loved hearing it just because we're so used to hearing the national media constantly just dunk on Detroit. Even the conversation we had last time we were here of why the national media isn't giving the team as much credit as they deserve. There's still odds makers that are saying that the Knicks or the Celtics are the real favorites to come out of the East and all that. So do I think they can win a championship as constructed? It's not impossible. I would have liked to see them maybe play OKC at least once. They haven't done that yet, and they're still, the cream of the crop in the Western Conference. So maybe if we saw them play head-to-head, I would have a little bit more of a more confident answer. I think they can make it out for sure. I think the way Cade is playing basketball at an MVP level, I think with the progression that we've seen from a lot of the young players, the way that they're able to sacrifice and play, as a team and as a unit, and, be able to kind of pick up the scraps for when teams and when times get a little rough for them, whether their defense is looking tough or their offense is looking tough. We've seen them find ways to, change the momentum of a game, whether it's Ron Holland or Javonte Green, defense that kind of turns things around. Duncan Robinson heating up, Cade playing more in the post. He's been getting more to the free throw line a lot more lately. Do I think they can win a championship? I don't know if I'll be confident enough to say that yet. Again, I kind of just want to see what it looks like in a postseason setting before I'm confident enough, just because a lot of the pieces that they've added in and they're now relying so heavily on weren't here last season. If this was the same core with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Beasley and a healthy Tobias and they were playing like this, then I could confidently say, yeah, I think this could definitely be a championship level team. But right now, we're still seeing a lot of things a little different with this team. Again, I like some of the improvements. I like some of the breakout play that we've seen. I don't know if I would say they could win a championship right now. I do think they have championship DNA based on how their foundation is laid with, winning on the rebounding glass and, playing in the paint and having a superstar that kind of offsets a lot of the areas where you may be struggling at. I think those are all important recipes to have. But this is still a young team that we're seeing right now with a lot of new pieces that sometimes look good and sometimes are not as crisp as you want them to be. But in an Eastern Conference like this right now, I definitely think the Pistons should be favored to come out of the East. Whether they can win the title, I think that may be a little premature as of right now. But that's a good problem to have. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing wrong when you go on national TV and everyone has just been crowning the Knicks as a team to make it out of the East and make the Eastern Conference Finals with Indiana not even in the picture. Boston is still highly competitive. Who knows if Tatum comes back? But I could understand it, just the way that they played. The way that they played it was kind of like sending a message to the Knicks and the rest of the East. So it's like, our depth is our strength. We can match up with anyone any given night. You saw it last night, like against Kawhi and Harden. Like they had a bunch of guys, the two-way guy and Tolu Smith playing big minutes, and like they were winning for like 80% of that game. Just turnovers and 3-point shooting kind of bit them in the ass, and free throws, by the way. But I think this team is much improved. Just kind of looking at the seeding right now, depending on what would happen between a play-in tournament between Cleveland and Miami, you could be playing one of those. I mean, wouldn't that be something?
Oh, yeah.
JB Bickerstaff playing his old team in the first round and sending them home.
Oh, my goodness.
Just rate the 30 for 30 now.
Have his own Dennis Schroeder moment to Donovan Mitchell walking off the court. Oh my God, that would be brutal. That is very possible. I called him to get in the season. I was not bought into Cleveland at all. I think a lot of the holes that they've seen in terms of being a defensive team, in terms of how they can't rebound, in terms of, the lack of progression, I think, from Evan Mobley. Again, these are good players, but we haven't seen the jumps and the continuity from them really be what we need. And they're super injured a lot too. They're missing their shooters. A lot of their guys that we expected to, kind of be as good as they have been, they just haven't been what, they've expected at this point. So that would be a great first round matchup. Again, to see them as low as they are, I'm shocked by. I didn't think they were a championship ready team, but I didn't think they would be teetering around the 8th seed right now. That is pretty surprising.
Not to mention, they're the most expensive team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Second apron team.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Bad news for them.
Would not surprise me if you see Darius Garland on the move. It would not surprise me whatsoever.
Me neither.
Hey, man, Minnesota needs a point guard. That would be a good duo with him and Ant.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a fun duo. Maybe Orlando. I don't even know.
No, please not Orlando. Oh, that would be such a perfect move for them. Oh my goodness.
I know they need shooting for sure. But just looking at the seeding, like you got the Knicks in second, Boston and Orlando in the first round again would be a bloodbath, or Toronto and Philly in the first round. Get that rivalry back after Kawhi hit that buzzer beater. Man, like the East first round, like I'm just telling you, man, like the play-in teams, Atlanta and Chicago, and the play-in again. That's just hilarious to me. But kind of circling back to Stephen A's comment, I think the Pistons have a very good chance of making it out of the first round. I think if everything goes right, depending on what happens to the trading deadline, you could make the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know how you could match up, depending on who comes out of the West. Like if OKC makes the finals, that would be a very hard team to play against because they have defenders everywhere. They're not a good matchup for the Detroit Pistons whatsoever. What happens with San Antonio? Like you don't really have a matchup for Wembanyama whatsoever. Nobody does. He's just huge. The Houston gets their shit together. Even though we've beaten Houston, like Houston's playing much better basketball. It'll be interesting to see like how they do. But I think if everything goes right, this could be an Eastern Conference Finals team. It just kind of depends who gets matched up in the first round, injuries, who stays healthy, and what happens at the deadline.
Yeah, and that could be a little bit unpredictable, but again, it's basing on what we've seen thus far. They've done a good job of showing that they're capable of playing against anybody at this point. I think the East deserves a lot more credit than they deserve. I'm tired of hearing like it's just a crapshoot, not a crapshoot, but like a guarantee that it only has to be the West. Again, I do like a lot of the talent in the teams in the East. But obviously when the top is, SGA reigning MVP, obviously defending champs with all the depth that they have, and Jokic being right behind them, with a team that's also dealt with a lot of injuries, but still playing really good basketball at the end of the day. I just think as of right now, the Pistons are in a position where we've seen them back from even the 2004 days. You got to prove it first. And I think that's fair for them, again, as a young team, as a team that's, still kind of they're winning in a way that's unconventional per what we've seen over the past 5 to 10 years in the NBA, where teams don't just strictly rely on the development of their young guys. They all think, okay, we got to go find somebody else. And a lot of those teams in the West we talked about, even in the East as well, have found, little pieces to add to their roster to, make a little bit better in preparation for moments like this. And the Pistons are kind of just going against the grain to do their own thing. It's a very common approach with Detroit sports teams for sure. And obviously right now it's working for them. So again, even with my skeptical, thinking of how far they can go, it has been working for them. We've seen them play well. It's not like they're just being, stubborn, through droughts. They're winning and playing good basketball. Again, to hold James Harden to 4 of 20 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3, really getting flustered by guys like Javonte Green and Asar. Like, it was very encouraging to see that. And, I think that's obviously encouraging, knowing that you want to see them play better in the postseason. They've also done better against star, because again, in star matchups, a lot of those guys are going to try to get to the foul line and get you in foul trouble. I think since what game was it? I forget. It was one of their West Coast games. I think it was after the Kawhi game where they picked them apart for 55. After that, they've done a really good job of kind of avoiding the foul baiters like Luka and Jalen Brunson. They've done a really good job of being a little bit more disciplined with not reaching in, falling for all the up fakes. And that just shows, the steps and progression of them as a defensive team, which is super important when you're trying to get ready for the postseason. So I like some of the progressions that we've seen in terms of their individual development, but if it's gonna work for real, I think we have to prove it first before we can buy in and say, yeah, this is the real thing.
Yeah, I feel like they're close. I don't really feel that they're that far away.
I agree.
I think when you look at like our previous championship teams, they all have a common theme, and it's being a tough defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you see with Beef Stew, Asar, Javonte Green, who is such a under the radar value pick, like it's starting to pay dividends. Like having Javonte and Ron off your bench after you have to deal with Asar, man, like if I was an offensive player, I'd be like, fuck. Because like these guys are just like dogs defensively. Like Ron last night, man, like single-handedly, like it didn't look like the Clippers wanted to come back in this game. He was dunking everything.
Yes.
Being a menace. That play where he dove on the floor and then he passed it for an outlet pass for a transition dunk. I was like, man, like this is the energy that kid plays with. It's so contagious with everyone else on the team. But kind of circling back, I think they're just like maybe one piece away. One like 20-point per game scorer next to Cade in the starting lineup where they could really be a problem in the East.
Yeah, Trajan you're talking about value. Like this is the second season where he's been able to just kind of, take that coupon shopping, and it really has yielded some unbelievable dividends. Last season, it was Beasley with, the super cheap deal he was on and how amazing he was in the season. And now you have guys like Wu, guys like Dennis Jenkins who have saved them game after game. It's been unbelievable. Like I made a lot of Lions comparisons, but this is what happens like if a Marcus Davenport actually was good for the Detroit Lions instead of being horrible and injured all the time. This is what it would look like where you could actually say, see, my plan is working, guys. The Lions don't have that, but the Pistons do. They've done a great job of really just getting the best out of all their guys, and all of them finding a way to impact winning in some kind of way that they've needed. Like what Ron did yesterday was spectacular. I personally wish he would have stayed in the game, after that windmill dunk. Just the confidence that he's been playing with on both ends of the floor and his ability to buy into what the team needs. Because I feel like for me, I think it was might have been you who were talking about who we had expectations for to take some of the biggest steps. I thought we were going to see more offensively from Ron, but I'm happy that he's still kind of taking his time instead of trying to play look at me hero ball. Like I can be a takeover guy. I can be more for this team. He's really just, hey, what y'all need me to do? And he goes out there with his lunch pail and he works. So like, I like that he hasn't been like over aggressive, but we're still seeing the progression and at least the confidence. Like for me, I don't mind that he shot 1 of 7 from 3 yesterday. I like the fact that he was still at least confident to take those shots and not stop. Like I think one of them he airballed, and then on the very next possession he did an ISO against Kawhi Leonard and got him into an and one. So like I like seeing those steps of progression because sometimes that's a little bit more than what the numbers will say, because for young teams and young players, sometimes just the confidence to try things and grow their games in that area shows that things are working or stepping in the right direction. So yeah, they've been fantastic with getting the most out of some of the guys that maybe pretty slept on. Even guys like Marcus Sasser having some huge games and some big performances. That's going to be huge for their confidence heading into the playoffs, that they're going to need them in certain stretches if there's injuries or if they just need, somebody to kind of help tip the energy for them. These kind of moments are big for that in preparation for that later in the season. So, again, that's kudos to JB and definitely kudos to Trajan Langdon for what they've gotten acquired so far.
I would say, using a baseball term, Trajan has hit a lot of singles. A lot of the moves have just been like solid singles. Like, we haven't seen a double, we haven't seen a triple, we haven't seen the home run.
Not a sexy home run grand slam, right?
No, even though he did play baseball for a little bit, apparently he wasn't that good. That's why he
in Alaska.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think who he got. He got drafted by a minor league team. I have to reach out to my guy Rogelio, who does the Tiger minor league report. He would know. He's an absolute sicko when it comes to baseball stuff like that. But he did get drafted. Obviously, he didn't do anything with it. He decided to play college basketball at Duke, but he was a baseball guy. But I'm waiting for that home run move by Trajan, because I feel like it's coming like really, really soon. I feel like I've said that for like 2 years in a row, but I know it's coming. I feel like you have the contracts. No one's on a really big deal outside of Cade, which you're completely fine with that because he's your franchise guy. But I feel the home run move coming by Trajan. Right now, it's just been a lot of like singles, bunts, and it's worked. I'm interested to see what happens when he tries to go and maybe you add a draft pick, maybe a lower end guy on the bench to try to maybe just add to the margins where it doesn't take away from the young core that you have.
Yeah, that's going to have to come soon, I believe. Again, I'm okay with their approach for this season of wanting to see where guys are. But there's also a lot of, deals that are going to have to come up too. Dern, obviously, heading into restricted free agency after the season. Asar could be, due for a payday soon. There's obviously discussion of guys like Ivy and other people, getting paid. And it's going to be just a little more difficult to kind of make some of those moves based on whatever you may have to pay for some of those guys. So, again, it's easier to have those conversations if you have a championship to show for it. Like, if people got to go, it is what it is. But I feel like it's important to also take advantage of what those timelines and those windows are. So, again, I'm okay with the patience. I think whatever that big home run move that's going to happen is going to be the biggest of Trajan's tenure here thus far, because right now you've been able to, bargain shop and kind of just, hey, let me just build with Cade and, add a little few pieces here, and we'll just see what works and see where we can grow from and see what notes we can take from here. But yeah, I don't want to be too patient, because again, I think Cade has been a great soldier of not making any noise. But I think you got to take advantage of his window right now. You don't see a whole lot of franchise players that have to wait this long to get their number 2 solidified star. Like, Paolo got his pretty quickly by adding Desmond Bane. Wemby got his pretty quickly. We obviously saw with Cleveland adding Donovan Mitchell. Toronto kind of got it quick. They think Scotty is their guy, but they went and got Brandon Ingram to go with him. So a lot of these guys have, got their guys already, and Cade is really just making it do with whatever he's got. And again, you never know what can happen. Luckily, he's been, granted, dealing with an injury now, but he's been relatively healthy over the past couple seasons, and you really want to take advantage of that. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued of what that big move will be if it comes, because I do think it has to come pretty much sooner than later with these guys.